from. Tell your girl she can kick it if she wants some, but we got no time to waste.
Welcome to 4AZ. I'm your host, Tyler McDowell Blanken. I'm excited to welcome back a familiar voice to discuss navigating the holidays, finding your purpose post undergrad, and much more on this very special bonus episode. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, you recognize the face. I'm here with Desmond Powell, the creator and host of Hip to the Games. Des, welcome back. How you been?
Ty, man, it's great to be on. An honor to come back, man. You know how the podcast game go. When you get multiple attempts, you know you're in good standing. So it's always humbling and fun to be around you, man. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm honored by your words. I'm blessed to know you, blessed to have you back, Des. And if you remember, we linked up back in June for the podcast. A lot has happened since then, brother. I want to start with Open Gym. You released your debut mixtape. I believe you're calling it a mixtape on Bandcamp, critically acclaimed at this point. And just some background for our audience. I reached out to Dez's publicist months ago to schedule this interview, and they said, "Listen, the brother's booked and busy, but we will try to slot you in when we can, maybe around the holidays." I said, "Bet. Whenever y'all can pencil me in, let's do the thing." Dez, you're here. It's been about a month since you dropped Open Gym. Congratulations. Tell us about the project and
Thank you.
how are you feeling a month later?
Yeah, thank you, man. Man, wow, the publicist, that's crazy. No, it's been really cool, man. It's been really like heartwarming too, you know. Especially, I mean, like first things first. I People that know me know that for years I've said that I would never drop music. I just had so much respect for artists that were doing it already, and I just felt like it was a nice hobby. I never really seen it as something that would actually manifest into concepts and things of that nature. But over time, things just change. Life humbles you in that way and shows you new things in that way, and it manifested into something that I never thought was ever really possible. And the heartwarming thing has been just the feedback. Like when I made it, I just wanted it to resonate with people. I think like anybody that makes art and has creative endeavors, as I'm sure you can relate, Ty. You just want it to resonate with people, and I felt like that was the main feedback that I was getting. It was also really cool to just for like my rapper friends that I've kind of gotten to know over being a podcast host. They're like, "Yo, Des, like this is crazy." A lot of people were shocked, like it was a little bit of everything, man. And I thought all that was pretty funny and cool to experience. So, yeah, man, I think it did what I wanted it to do, which wasn't hard, I think, and that's just what's been the most exciting over the last couple months.
That I love the concept of Open Gym because, as you describe, you actually released an episode with your brother Devon. Shout out, Big Vaughn,
Yes, yes.
breaking down the release of the album. So I want our audience to be sure to follow you at Hip to the Games if they're not already, where they can hear that breakdown. I love the concept of Open Gym, right? That you titled this mixtape because basketball has played such a critical role in your life, and it seems like the game continues to not only give you fulfillment and joy, but also these seminal life lessons about responding back from a loss, about developing confidence, about working with others. It seems like basketball for you continues to be that vehicle toward so many life lessons, some of which we're going to get into in that post college, one day it'll all make sense conversation in a few minutes that I'm excited for. It's a beautiful project.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. That means a lot, man. Yeah, that I mean, you nailed it, bro. That's really what it was. Like, I think over time, I just realized how much the game was mirrored life. I felt like just finally in my adulthood, I reached a point where I'm just noticing things left and right, and then the inner rapper in me is like, yo, you can make a punchline for that, and it just built. So yeah, man, I think you nailed it. That's exactly what happened.
What was the toughest part of the project? Creating the project, that is.
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I could say part of it was just battling that inner voice, like the inner critic. Again, with anything creative, you're gonna have some of those self doubts a lot of times, and I think that was the hardest part. Like, again, in the first place, I kept a lot of things out of the out of the public and whatnot, and it was Devon who said like, "Yo, man, why aren't you releasing these?" Like, and him being a artist, it was like, okay, if he's saying it, like, I gotta wake up. I gotta wake up. So, um, I just think the hardest part was getting past that self doubt. Like, how is it going to be received? How is the work going to resonate with people? Is it going to resonate with people? Are the themes too heavy? Like I said, Ty, it was a pretty, I hate to use the word, but just for the basic understanding of it, it does kind of come off as a negative project. I'm wrestling with a lot of I open up about a lot of things that I'm wrestling with in my 20s. So again, I was scared of that too. That was a hard part. Like understanding like, yo, some people that know me may not know this side of me. Some people how like I didn't want it to be a dark cloud over anybody else when they have their own life experiences and whatnot. So though I would say those were like the hardest parts for sure.
Mhm. I remember when you were wrapping up the project and or maybe not even, I think you had it wrapped up by then and we were going back and forth. This was before I reached out to your publicist, in fact. And we were just discussing, you were actually giving me kind of the clues into some of the themes. I know you were very reflective about, hey, I just want this to resonate with people. I'm not sure how folks may take it, but my gosh, you know that I had high expectations for the project. And you, my friend, my brother, you exceeded those. Bravo.
Oh man,
Congratulations.
thank you, Ty, man. Thank you, bro. That means a lot, man. I'm speechless.
Absolutely.
Hard to
And
keep a podcaster speechless, but
hey, success. And dare I say, my final thought here, dare I say, we look forward to the next one.
Oh yeah. Hey man, I've already been saying like if there is indeed an open gym 2 or another mixtape in mind, like I definitely want it to be a response to that. So
Mm,
we'll see, man. We'll see. Just like open gym, we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, I love it. I'll be reaching out to your team to secure that next interview when that happens. Don't forget about us. Don't forget about us here on the podcast,
Not at
guys. When
all.
that happens.
I'll make sure they get out the spam folder if that's if that's what went down. I don't know what's up
Period.
with that.
Yeah, straight up. All right, brother. Before we leave basketball talk, I would be remiss if I did not ask your thoughts on the biggest news in sneaker wear for sneakerheads, especially those in the Valley this semester. Devin Booker and Nike announced the forthcoming release of the Book 2. Now, it's going to drop in January. I'm in my feelings about the price tag. It's going to be even more expensive than the Book 1. We're talking, I believe, a $145 sticker price. Book,
Ah,
come on, Book. Can we get a discount for Valley
yeah.
residents? Can we get something? I'm gonna put my feelings to the side because this episode is about you, Desmond Powell, the great Desmond Powell. What are your thoughts on the unveiling of the Book 2? It seems like, generally speaking, looking at the timeline, folks generally are more receptive and more positive about this launch than the very volatile launch of the book one. Either you were really rocking with the book ones, or you thought they were the ugliest Nike release in quite some time. Where does Desmond Powell stand?
Right. So yeah, I actually like the book twos, and I think it always helps when you release good colorways out the gate. I think that was the problem with the book ones. I remember saying it back then. Like if he had a came with the Valley colorway or even the Forrest Gump Cortez colorway, like out the gate, I think people would have felt a lot better about the book ones. But because they went with the monochrome colors, it was just hard to unsee a boxy kind of shoe. Now I think with the Phoenix colorway, still sticking to the monochrome with the shades of orange on that one. That one's still growing on me, but that black one with the orange swoosh, I think is super clean. But I mean, come on, Ty, you're a homer. You got to tell us what you think though, because and if there's crossover with GI, they remember our thoughts from the WNBA episode on
Oh,
the
they do, yeah,
prototype. So now
absolutely.
that they're out,
As we have a documented history of discussing this. I'm really optimistic about it. There's price aside, of course. Design wise, I think it's definitely an upgrade from the last one because there were some colorways for the book one that I really rocked with. You know this, and then there were others
Mhm.
that even I, the homer that I am, had to admit like, oh, head scratch. Think face emoji. This isn't really the move, as you so eloquently stated. From the early drops to some of the later drops, I think this one is, like you said, is going to be more grounded, more consistent, and we like when artists take risks. But I think I would imagine Book and the folks at Nike probably learned a lot from that first drop and how polarizing it was. And I think they learned
Very
those
true.
lessons, and they're going to show that in what they do with the book twos. And mind you, the Suns are in a much healthier position than they were this time last year. I'm not saying that's the be all end
Yes.
all, but last season, as a Devin Booker fan, was by far the strangest year that I've had being a fan of his, because the Suns were not very good. Definitely a volatile situation. Devin Booker didn't seem happy on the court. I don't think anyone in the Phoenix Suns organization seemed happy, mind you. And at the same time, you had this huge seminal moment in his career of dropping a signature sneaker. So I think all signs are pointing up for that January release. The Suns are competitive. Devin Booker seems happier, and the design is better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, bro. Yeah, I'm with you. I like what your Suns are doing this year, man. I know I wasn't that high on them going into the season, but yo, I love how it's coming together. I love the role players. Like, you look at Devin Booker, what he's doing. I think Dylan Brooks has stepped up as a scorer in a way that's actually kind of like, this kind of worked better than what we've seen in the recent years, even though y'all just had Kevin Durant. That's crazy. You got Ryan Dunn, also Iguodaro, Colin Gillespie. I was always a fan of Royce O'Neal. Not to turn this into the NBA pod, Tyler, but I definitely wanted to give y'all, coming out of AZ, y'all flowers, because the team looks really good.
Yeah. Well, rest assured, you were not alone with your low expectations. We'll see if they can keep it up. Of course, health always plays a factor, but it sounds like what Matt Ishbia and the team were selling us in terms of this is going to be a team that you want to root for, that you're going to love, seeing on TV, that you're going to want to pay your money to watch. All of that is coming true so far, Des. So fingers crossed. And if it doesn't work out, at least we got the Mercury, the most successful
Yes.
basketball organization in Arizona. So that's always something we can fall back on. Did you hear about the Mercury's new logo, by the way? Did we text about
Didn't
this?
like it. Didn't like it. I don't even, did we? I don't know if we
I
did.
don't think
I don't know
you
if we
you
did.
okay, you broke the news to me about the book too. I appreciate your tweet. I didn't even know about that until you put me on game. For the
Oh, yeah,
Mercury
okay.
logo, I don't think we've spoken about that. It's a thumbs down for you.
Yeah, the logo, the M logo, the whole thing with like the sun ray behind it, okay. But the M, I saw one user comment that it's like half Dairy Queen, half
Oh
something else I
no.
don't remember, but
Yes, don't
half
do us
Pepsi.
like
That's what they
don't
said.
do us.
Yeah,
Half DQ,
and
half
I was
Pepsi
kind of
is
like, I see
crazy.
it. I know.
That's and I
I
grew up going
know.
to Dairy Queen, okay, but that's an
It's a classic.
observation. It's a
Yeah,
classic.
yeah.
It is a classic.
But Ty, this is what it is though. The logo, I can get over that. They took away the yellow. They took away the yellow. And I
It's
said,
tough.
you could have even just put it in little accents on the jersey, and we got nothing. Nothing yellow. And I said, me and Ty just talked about that. And they take it away.
That we did. I yeah. Well, okay. We'll see what happens. If you want more basketball content and conversations, again, you have to follow at Hip to the Games. Des is simply the best out there who is doing it day in and day out, week in and week out. We love you here, Des, and that is why we have you here for, I think, kind of the heart of this episode. And aside from promoting open gym and making sure people know how great of a project it is, I wanted you to come on here to revisit this topic that you and I actually collaborated on an article for. I think this is maybe 2 years ago at this point, for
Flew
gimmick
by.
infringement. Yeah, for the podcast that I have the honor of co-hosting with Brad Winchester, one of my good friends. So we wrote this article for the Gimmick Infringement website, gimmickinfringementpod.com. Okay, now my plugs are out of the way. And we entitled that One Day It'll All Make Sense, because I think this idea, you and I obviously share a lot in common. Something that is most special to me that we share are these reflections that you and I both seem to have. Obviously, you're in Illinois, I'm in Arizona, but it seems like both of us had a positive college experience, right? And then we graduated and realized, oh, this is when the work really starts. And just because you graduate from college, that's not hopefully people aren't turning off the podcast now like, duh, bro, you of course. I just had this idea that graduating from college was the hard part, and then everything was
Hmm.
going to be up from there. So I'm excited to revisit that conversation with you on this episode. I want to start by asking you, big question, how has life been for you post undergrad? You and I both graduated not yesterday. It's been several years, more for me than it is for you. But it's been several years since we've graduated. But it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you've navigated the ebbs and flows of what it means to just figure out who you are and what you want personally and professionally.
Yeah, man. So it's funny, Ty, because as I kind of thought about that question, the main thing that pops in my head is pretty much what you said, right? Like we go through, I mean, you could say as young as 5 to like 18, and we're following everything that parents are telling us, elders are telling us, you know, homeboy at the barbershop, like everybody, right? And especially I think in our community, Ty, like we have a lot of elders who may have not had a chance to get a higher education. So from a young age, it's like go to college, get an education, get a good job, right? But then like there's so much in the fine print that they don't show you. And so like I know for me, you know, my early 20s, it was like, so you know, I had a fifth year and I graduated at 22. And so like 22, 23, 24 was kind of like, oh, I don't have structure anymore. Like if I really wanted to, I can eat cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and nobody's gonna say anything. Now, of course, my mom being, you know, being somebody that cares about my well-being, probably has something to say about that. But in a general adult grand scheme, like nobody's gonna tell me anything about that, right? Nobody's gonna always remind me to get doctor's appointments, right? You get towards your mid 20s, you get kicked off your parents' insurance, and that bill comes to your email. You know, like these are all those things that you get like after graduation that again, some of these things, Ty, have nothing to do with education, nothing to do with occupation, but like just those eye-opening moments in your adulthood, in your young 20s, that kind of, like you said, kind of open your eyes to what it's really like after school. So I would summarize it in saying like those early 20s come with a lot of funny lessons like that, and things you just get used to over time. But as I've approached my mid 20s and then now I enter my late 20s, it's been a lot of questions of purpose, questions of like, oh, like okay, I'm pursuing this thing, but is it really panning out the way I hoped? Do I have to pivot here? And a lot of those questions you have to answer, right? And so it becomes a thing of where you feel a little bit pressure that you haven't really felt before. Like I've said it to people close to me, like I don't think I felt some of the things that I've been feeling since high school, which again is kind of a different transition, right? Like you're preparing for college and things of that nature. So likewise, same thing that happens after college. It just makes sense that there's that parallel where now you have new questions to answer and new things to figure out about your life too. So that's kind of where it's been for me.
Mm. And what do you think? Well, not what do you think? What is your purpose? How would you answer that? Are you getting closer to submitting that final draft and adding that last period? Because
You know,
you have so many talents, you have your hands in a few different jars. Have you been able to land closer on the answer to that all important question?
I don't know if I have. I think it's beautiful though, because I think that's the point of life. Like you're always going to find, I would say, a tangible purpose. My faith is important to me, so I think we have our set purpose in that regard of like, again, it's my job to go out here and like I say on my social media bios, like I just really want to represent Jesus the best I can, even though that's going to look different on a lot of days, and I'm going to come up short a lot of days too. But no matter what I do, if I can spread joy, do be a faithful steward of whatever I'm doing, and be of impact to somebody else, like that's cool. As long as I'm living the way that it is that is representation of what he asks of us, I'm good. But like you said, then there's also the other stuff where I'm just kind of like, man, like, it's the Ab Soul song, Ty. Like, I feel like it just rings in my head. I gotta do better. I gotta do better. It's like constant loop. That's been a little harder to solve. Like you said, I'm aware that I have my hat or my hand in different hats or whatever. But I think it's not really about me trying to figure out the answer right now. I've at least given myself that kind of grace to sit with that. But that is something that I do ask myself all the time, Tyler. I would love to know how you've processed that though for yourself. You my big bro, so I go off you.
Yeah, that's well. First, that's incredibly profound, bro. I appreciate your vulnerability and you sharing that. Um, I try to follow a similar path to you in that I really have learned the value in taking things one day at a time. And in my context of education, and this year in particular, going back to the classroom, some
Right.
days, most days, it's just one period at a time. It's important for us, I think, as you alluded to, Des, to have these larger plans. What's your 5 year plan? Elders will ask you that, whether it's at the shop or at the family function. What's your 5 year plan? Do you have any investments? Uh, X, Y, and Z. The answer is I
Yeah.
don't know, and no, I don't. But I'm working. I'm working to get there. I'm trying. Uh, some days it's just one foot in front of the other, and like you said, leading a life that brings you joy and purpose day in and day out, and hoping that if you create those good habits and build that momentum, inevitably you're going to run into good people. You're going to be doing cool work professionally, and if you treat people well, I just believe that good karma is going to come back to you and serve you. So I do not have all the answers at all, my friend, but I've really learned the value in giving yourself grace. I know you mentioned that word a moment ago. That's so important because I'm not sure if this resonates with any of our audience, but I think this is again something that you and I both have in our lives, is that we can be very self-critical.
Yeah.
We
Hmm.
aspire to be great to the people in our lives, but for whatever reason, we don't always give that love back to ourselves, which
Yeah.
is crazy. But we're just
It's
always
crazy to say
focused.
out
You
loud.
mentioned the absolute. Yeah, you like, I got to do better. I can be doing this, or that artwork I put out, or that podcast, was it really that good? What am I? It's just it's so important to give yourself grace. So there are some days, I'll just pause after this. There are some days going back to the classroom this semester in particular that have felt so fulfilling and have felt like, oh man, this is kind of like riding a bike. I'm back to it. I'm feeling good. And then there are other days, sometimes literally the next day in the weekdays, where it's at the end of the school day and I walk to the parking lot and I'm thinking to myself, yo, what in the hell am I doing here? Not just specifically at the school site, but just in general. Like, is this really
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me? So it's that proverbial seesaw, at least for me at this stage, is just, what do I want? I'm not sure, but I think if I lead one foot in front of the other, I lead every day with grace. I lead every day with gratitude. I end every day with gratitude. Eventually, I'm going to figure that out. And as you pointed out, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't think there's a specific age where you have to have all the answers. But as you pointed out on your podcast on several different occasions, as we continue celebrating these birthdays year in and year out, I would be lying if I said I don't feel that pressure of, man, I want to hit some major milestones and goals for my life as I get closer to, I'm going to be 33 next year, brother. My
Hmm.
Larry Bird birthday, my
Yeah.
Alonzo Mourning, my
Yeah.
Zoe. I don't feel
Jesus
like I'm
year.
about, I don't feel like I'm about to be 33, but according to the paperwork, I am. So it's just that how do you find joy and happiness in the day to day, but then also think long term about what are you doing, what is the life you want, and what are the steps you need to take to make that happen. Especially if you have financial goals or other goals for yourself that you have to have a plan for. They don't just happen off of wishes and Instagram posts.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. Because I'm glad you mentioned your experience getting back into the classroom, because I was actually going to ask you that. Like, how do you? I'm sitting here trying to find the words to ask it, but it's like, how do you? I guess, when did it ever click that some of that pressure was going away? Like, was that something that kind of just hit you out of nowhere? Were you kind of like, okay, I think I'm just in a better place to where those things just, like, nah, there's no timeline. It's just my life.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
think that's the thing of, I was just gonna say, that's the thing about being in your 20s too. We've talked about this on several occasions. Like, you're hitting that age where, I mean, this person you went to school with is having a family, or they're getting married, or this person got the dream job and they moved, and like, all this stuff is happening, and you kind of getting like a little bit of a trance, like, whoa, like, I
mhm.
feel like I'm not really having a lot of movement or motion, as the youngins say, like, I'm not really getting that. I'm not really getting that. So I guess, Ty, how did you
Yeah,
ever get to a point where you realized that didn't matter? And was that recent with the
yeah.
teaching?
It's still, that's a great question. It's still a kind of a daily, maybe not daily. It used to be daily. I would say it's probably a weekly conversation that I have with
Okay.
myself, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. But if anything, this year it shifted from, okay, I got to remember comparison is the thief of joy. Social media isn't real, so on and so forth. It shifted from that to just being incredibly mindful and aware daily of time and how finite
Mm,
it is. Earlier this semester, we lost my aunt. I grew up with her son, and luckily we spent Thanksgiving together, which was just a wonderful day, and just felt so blessed to be together. We lost her unexpectedly earlier this semester, and I remember I was at school. I was at a volleyball game at Sunny Slope, and I got a call from her son, who I've grown up with, and it was just out of nowhere that she passed away. And so, really, since then, that was a few months ago now. At this point, since then, Des, I've just constantly thought about time and how finite it is. And on the good days, it gives me purpose and it gives me motivation to get up and grind, put in that Nipsey Hustle playlist and get after it. On the good days, it gives me that motivation.
right.
And then on the other days, I just think about, oh wow, like, oh snap, today is as young as I'm ever going to be. And all the people in my life that I care about, today is as young as they're going to be. And one day they're not going to be here. And if we think about our elders and how, as they age and as we all age, health complications can arise. And I just want to do so much. I want to do so much for them and for the people I care about before the clock
Hmm.
runs out, because it's going to run out on all of us. But how do I just
Right.
be mindful of get, allowing that mindset to give me purpose, but not just a crippling fear
Yeah.
or just doubt. But that's been more heavy on my mind this semester and this year. It's just that time element. Like, what am I scared of? Spiders, killer clowns, heights. But number one is probably time. I just get very worried about running out of time. So that's
I'm
been the
with you.
shift for me. It's been less Instagram comparison and more, yo, I just want to get a lot done while all the people I love are still here. That because it, as we know, no tomorrow is never promised for any of us in the semester. Sadly, has been a reminder to me of that, and I just don't want to take any day or anyone for granted. That's been on my heart.
N- No, I love that, Ty, especially how you said like you use it more so as a driving force than something that is it something you worry about? Yeah, you're human, but at the same time you use it to push forward to what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. So yeah, man, I love that. I love that. I agree.
I try to, bro. And this idea of, and I think I actually took the quote from Common back in his Common Sense days. One day it'll all make sense. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I have to remind myself of. There was an Insecure episode. Shout out Issa Rae. Insecure, one of my favorite
Mm.
shows ever. Where I thought they really shot the episode, really the season beautifully, where she's in her 30s and she's just trying to navigate friendships and the corporate world or the professional life, and a parent being ill, and she's just. I remember she had a quote during the season. I was like, I just want to wake up one day and know that it all makes sense and know that I'm doing all the right things. Getting that validation. So I think to your point is, whether it's from faith, whether it's from our loved ones, we just have to remind ourselves that we are walking a positive path and things are going to work out. Exhale and don't take yourself too seriously, because this life is hard sometimes, man. We got to grind, but we also got to be good to ourselves and tell people we love them more, including
Very
ourselves,
true.
the
Very
person
true.
in the mirror every single day who we're stuck with for 24/7, 365.
For sure, for sure. Ty, I'm sorry if you had, let me know if you had any other notes that you wanted to get to, but I did kind of want to build on what you just said too, because that's another thing I would add is like, I feel like something I've been telling myself the last few years is like, I just want to get to a point where like when I'm old and I got gray hair, I can look back at this version of me and like, if I were to tell him something, it would be, it's all good. Slow down. It's going to be all right. But I've noticed it's been harder for me to operate from that place. And so I would ask you again, like how did you get to that place, or are still trying to get to that place of peace, in a sense of like there is no pressure, like is it like how did you get to that mindset where you do genuinely believe that one day it all makes sense? Because sometimes, Ty, I'm living this life and I'm going on the path that I'm on, and I'm like, none of this is I thought I had trouble in math as a kid. Like this is nothing compared to some of that
Straight
stuff
up.
we learned in geometry.
Straight up. Yeah, for me it's man, it's a great question. It really is rooted in number one in gratitude, just being grateful for so much. So although thinking about these big questions, I believe is not only important, it's necessary. It's also necessary to remind yourself all of the good in your life. I know particularly for myself and how I was raised and the people I have in my life and the opportunities I have. I feel so blessed and I feel so grateful for so much in my life. So I really do attempt to start every day with that gratitude and end every day and the work day, but end the day before I rest my head on the pillow at night with gratitude. And when I do that, I find myself more at peace and less worried about, am I doing the right things? Is this really for me? And just being grateful for that conversation I had during the day, with a colleague or with a student or with Desmond Powell, like there's just so many moments of joy every day that I really try to be present in that and hope that again, the good decisions I'm making, the good habits I'm creating, that's going to lead to those other things that I want. But as long as I wake up and I'm able to get out of bed and my parents are still here and people I care about, I can text and I can call and they're good. That's to me, that's so fulfilling. And that's where my energy goes rather than, oh shoot, am I ever going to be able to buy a home one day? Because I don't know
Mm,
right now. It's just, and then I hear on the radio, oh, the average age for a first time homeowner in the United States right now is 40. So then I think, oh, why am I tripping? Like, I still have many years
yeah,
until that. I just thought that when you graduate from college, I don't know, within that first maybe 5 to 10 years, it happens for you. But that's not
yeah.
always the case. And right now, that's kind of the anomaly. But sometimes I think we trick ourselves again into either comparison or unrealistic expectations of I have to get everything by this specific date, or else I'm a failure, or else, I didn't do it the right way. So for me, it's gratitude. Like you, it's faith and believing that my steps are being guided. That's to me, that's the way.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome because I try to operate from the same lens. I think I too have those same thoughts, Ty, where I'm like, I'll sit around some days and I'm like, man, like I might be on a whole different, I might be at age 50 in my head, right? Like I done scripted so many moments of how it should have been, and I'm wondering why the
Right.
blueprint is messed up. But then I'll sit back and I'm like, at the end of the day, a simple prayer turned into me meeting Mo virtually and birth 19, and then now I have all these dope relationships with our 19 squad with you.
Yes.
Like I think about those moments and I'm like, okay, I see you, God, I see you. But then there's times also I've noticed where I'm like, was I supposed to change my major in college? Like I
Yes.
really thought
Okay,
that
let's
was
talk about it. Those
I
alternate
really,
versions of our life. If I would have studied, I don't know, business instead of education, would I be happier? Would my life be better?
yeah,
Right? That those
yeah.
like three or four different versions of our life if we would have chose left instead of right or north instead of south.
Yeah, because it's like if I really believe in and again, like I said, I'm nowhere near perfect. My faith is ever growing, but I still have those moments where I'm like, I'm reading and and everybody's telling me that my steps are ordered and things are going to work out. But then I'm looking and I'm like, I really felt led to change my major. And you would think with that mindset, I'd be at peace that things are going to work out. But now it's like, I tell my brother all the time, like, yo, if I really had the viewpoint of what it was going to be after graduation, I probably would have stayed in physical education just for the career. I would have had my teacher plan that I followed. You have to student teach, so like that kind of gets you closer to getting those opportunities in the future. It seemed a lot more guaranteed than a career in media per se, right? A career in radio where there's not a lot of people as young as me in these fields. Like again, they're always gonna pick the guy in his 50s or the woman in her 40s and 50s who knows enough more than me, and you know, has the family, has a lot more relatable things going on. And so like I think about all that, like, dang, like, should I have really stayed in physical education? Did I mess up? Did I waste that time in college? How do I redeem that time? Like, it can be a mess,
Time.
man.
Right. Did I make the right decisions? And is it okay if we have those conversations with ourselves, is it okay? Spoiler, I think the answer is yes. If we decide that it's time to pivot, whether that's pivot a career or pivot a friendship, maybe this friendship or this person isn't serving me anymore. I think the answer is yes, it's okay to pivot, but only I can make that decision for our lives. But the weight that comes with, oh yeah, this is the one life I get. I have to go with it. This isn't
Yeah.
2K. This isn't 2K career mode where, okay, I started one. It didn't quite work out. Let me run that back and start again. The
Right.
blessing and also the pressure of this life is we only get one shot at it. So we live, we make
Ooh, that's
decisions.
well
Some of them
said.
are good decisions, some of them aren't. But to your point, we learn and just hope to do better the next day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate you answering those, Ty. You know, I didn't. I know you brought me on, but of course, you know, I want to learn from you as much as I can, man. Like I think because I think again we could take this conversation so many ways, Ty. But you know, I definitely wanted to get a chance to pick your brain on some of those things. Because and again, I think that's why you know you wanted to make this episode, right? Because you know so many people are struggling with the same thing. And you know it's a necessary topic, man. So yeah, man, I always appreciate your thoughts and insight.
Well, likewise. And what you said is so profound, and we'll transition here in just a moment, Des. Sometimes it can feel like you're the only one going through this. And I know, particularly in my chosen field of education, it can get really lonely and really isolating. So, in education,
Mm.
I definitely think it exists. This worry, this feeling of, oh, is it just me that's going through this and having these questions of one day I feel so affirmed, then the next week or the next day I have this doubt, but also across states, across professions, across degrees. I think this exists within our generation, particularly this time of it's just noisy, right? We have these supercomputers in our pockets that we use for connection, business, etc. It can just be loud every
Yeah.
day. AI obviously has just completely surpassed whatever we expected it would. It was seemingly here a few years ago, and now already there's fears about it taking jobs. And what does this mean for folks who are in artistic, creative spaces? So we are also just
Yes.
living in a very unique time, and that's not to mention decisions in Washington and just being black in America and just there are so many facets to this conversation. Sometimes just being able to exhale and being able to jump on a video call, jump on a podcast with someone you love is needed to keep our sanity and to keep our peace. I'm
Indeed, man.
prioritizing joy, Des.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you always.
I love that. Well, Des, finally, we are going to jump to our exit ticket. You know how we do this around here. I
Okay.
actually send you
Dang
this
already.
exit. Oh, can you believe it? I send you this exit ticket ahead of time. It is the holiday season, just leaving Thanksgiving as we record this, getting ready for Christmas. I don't know about you, but Christmas is very special here in Arizona for my family and I. So that leads me
Yes.
to my final question for you. You are one of my go to experts for all things music, and you're a person of
Uh,
faith and just generally someone I admire and respect. So, the most important question I have for you on this episode, Desmond Powell, what are your top four Christmas songs of all time?
all right. So I had to get in the bag for this one because it was funny when you sent it to me. Like I glanced over it when it dropped down on my phone, and I was like, okay, Christmas songs. Like, but then when I actually read it again, I said, yo, there are like so many, and I gotta pick four. And I'm like, if Ty knows that we are the kindred spirits that we are, he knows I got honorable mentions because I can narrow it down to four. So when pondering this question, my mind, so around this time of year, love me some Motown. I love going
Mm.
back to the Motown songs and whatnot. It's what we do. You know, I wouldn't necessarily call it a tradition, but you know, every year when we put up the tree, I'm definitely playing those Motown jams as we're putting the ornaments on and whatnot. So again, like you, big fan of Christmas. So when it comes to the top four songs, though, my first honorable mention, you know, I had to keep it H2DG. I had to keep it hip hop, and I went with Christmas in Hollis, Run DMC. Great story, great video, the most swagged out rap group in of all time. And then the other one, my other honorable mention is What Christmas Means to Me, Stevie Wonder. Love that one. Absolute classic. And I think a great picture of joy during the holiday season, right? But so getting into my top four. Number four, I went Let It Snow, Boys to Men. I know it's almost kind of crazy to put them at four, but I would say for me it's a little too slow. But I do love the overall vibe of that record. It's an all time classic. Video is crazy, right? And like obviously, you know, in terms of like the time period of it, right? Like obviously I was young when I first heard this. Um, like I always thought, wow, you know how cold you got to be to sing in the snow. But you know whether it was fake or real, I was like, wow, wow. So you know they got my as not just as an all time R&B group, but they got my respect for really going through it in the holiday season and singing in the snow. Okay,
Des, can
number
we
three,
talk about music
yes,
videos as well? I think we're at that age. I hate being this person, I really do, but they don't make music videos like they used to.
they
It's
don't,
just it's
they
not it's
don't.
not it's not the same.
And even some of the ones that try to pay homage, I'm like, it don't got the same graininess that we had back. I need a little 240p in there to make it a little more authentic.
240p is nuts. Singing in the snow. That's okay. That was your number four. That's gonna
It
be
was.
very hard to top. I'm ready.
All right, so number three, I went with Whitney Houston, Joy to the World. That Preacher's Wife soundtrack, Whitney Houston put her
That
foot in
movie.
that. I mean, she always did, regardless. But that Preacher's Wife, bro, that role is one of my all time favorites from her. Love that song at the end. She killed that. Second, I went with so my next two spots are all time classics. Number two, Silent Night, The Temptations. That's one that I always play when we're setting up the tree for sure, for sure. I mean, I know I keep saying the phrase, but like absolute classic. And you know, Ty, I'm a traditionalist, so like I'm gonna always go, you know, to the forefathers of what music and history is about. So I love that one, but man, my number one, I had to give it to Nat King Cole, the Christmas song. That is to me the epitome of Christmas. Like no, and it's one you know how cold you gotta be to make it the Christmas song. Like you know that other people are gonna want to sing, but yours is so dope that it's the Christmas song, not a Christmas song. It's the Christmas
It's
song,
the
and it's
Christmas
like
song.
prophetic. It's prophetic because
That it
literally
is.
that's the one everybody thinks of. So, yeah, man, that's my top four. I came
I
ready.
lo-
I came
okay,
ready. I gotta hear
okay.
yours though.
It's a beautiful list. I think we need to talk about the omissions from your list. Can I
Okay.
interest you? Can I interest you in the well? Okay, the conversation should start and end with Darlene Love. I love Darlene Love, a staple in our home growing up. How can we not have Mariah Carey? All I want for Christmas is
Oh,
you.
I,
How can we not?
I mean,
Is it because you just heard it played in Coles too much?
maybe that might be what it is.
Because
That might be
that's
what it is.
we got Feliz Navidad. There, I mean,
Oh,
there's
you're right. You're
but
right.
also the task of picking just four Christmas songs, as you began your comments with, it's a near impossible task. I also
Yeah.
love and you know this about me too, I tend to be more of an album person than a song person, so maybe my question was inherently flawed, but we'll rock with it. Some of the recent albums, the John Legend Christmas album from a few years back, I think Mary J
Oh,
dropped one. I even like some Michael Bublé on the playlist as well.
oh,
You know,
that's a different bag right there.
but
Yeah.
if I had to pick four, Darlene Love, Mariah Carey's joint, of course, Feliz Navidad. I I don't know how I feel about saying this in 2025. You let me know. He just had a massive concert stop here a few months back at the baseball stadium where the Diamondbacks play. Can we talk about the Chris Brown this Christmas era?
Oh,
I know you.
I had a feeling.
I know
I
you
had a
watch
feeling.
this Christmas every year like I do. Lauren London.
Yeah. Hey,
K-
watch.
Nip. Rest in power, Nip. Lauren London.
No,
Des,
when I was, but
that
when
was my
that movie
movie.
came out,
That was my movie.
WCW,
Shout out Lauren London.
WCW.
That was Woman Crush Wednesday. Woman Crush Wednesday. Very nice. Lauren Powell. Lauren Powell.
I do.
That was a
Ty, don't do that.
that was a
Don't do that.
slip. That was a
Was it?
slip. Well, production team, if we could just edit that out. Lauren London, very talented actress. So from two of my favorite movies ever, ATL and This Christmas. But Chris Brown, I just remember. Well, I remember that movie because I watch it every year. It's a demand for my mom, but also just how Chris was in his bag back then, and he just did his thing
Mhm.
on that song. So I kind of excommunicated him for many years. I still don't necessarily have him in any of my playlists, but I can't deny Chris Brown This Christmas. If I'm ranking mine, it's worst case scenario honorable mention. It might even crack my top 4 days.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. It definitely came to mind, but I just had, again, with the classics in mind, I just put too much weight on that. But yeah, no, he did his thing.
You know, the classics are classics for a reason. Des, this was great. Success. I'm so happy that you joined us. Fill us in, remind us, how can our audience follow all the incredible work that you are doing and support you?
Hey man, Ty, I appreciate you again for having me on and welcoming me back. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with you, bro. And again, we text all the time, chop it up as much as we can. So it's always dope to come on and get to vent a little bit, but also learn from you and just share our experiences and whatnot. Like that's what makes life what it is, man. So I appreciate you. As for the shows and whatnot, so. You can follow at Hip to the Games on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I am at the moment on a month hiatus, I would say, over the holiday season. So the initial plan as of right now is to come back around New Year's time and get back into high gear. I do kind of want to revamp some things and um, realign some things with the show. But of course, those episodes are here to binge on YouTube, all podcast platforms. You can find those links on my socials. You can follow the personal page at Desmond Powell _ on same thing, Twitter, Instagram, all things faith, life, hip hop, a lot of basketball. That's up to you. As for Open Gym, I do have those links on my social media pages as well. You'll see a Bandcamp link to that. That is a free download, free listen. So you can listen to that. Yeah, I got I got a Substack now. Like Hip to the Game's doing a lot right now, man. You can find all these links to some of my work on my social media pages. But I think I cover everything because usually when I get in this seat, there's always something I forget. I think last time I was in this seat, you mentioned that I rap, and I still didn't go on the end and say, "Oh yeah, like check out this song that I got over here." Like I forget everything that I do, bro. So I think that's everything though.
It's the allure of Desmond Powell. You always want people wanting a little bit more. We will also be sure to include all of Des's links in our show notes. So please be sure to not only check those out, but to support Des. Des, this just gives us all of December to run back Open Gym. So I love this. We can't wait for you to come back stronger than ever in the new year. And of course, thank you
bro.
for joining us. It's always great to see you. You know I love you, and I can't wait to see the future of Hip to the Games in 2026.
Yes, sir. Love, bro. Love.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will be back with a new Abbott Elementary review on December 17th. In the meantime, in between time, we would greatly appreciate if you follow the show at 4AZTeach and 4AZTeach.org. We'll see you next time.